Hey everybody, I just finished a really fun show. The theme was drinking songs, hence my lovely green screen background of being in a bar. But I want to share a few of my favorite moments with you. Before I do that, though, please hit the subscribe and all that fun stuff, you know. This is one of my favorite moments. My friend Adam, who's a brewer at Bell's Brewery, came on to discuss and nerd out about beer with me for a little bit. So this is the entire clip of him being on the show. But ladies and gentlemen, I keep squirreling myself. We know how that goes. Without further ado, let me welcome my friend Adam O'Donnell. Woohoo!
Hey, Katy.
Hey.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Absolutely.
Let me refresh the chat so things show up. There we go. So how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I like that you're representing Bell's in the
That's
background.
Right, yeah.
Before we came on, we were just discussing that Oberon is one of my favorite beers because that means that summer's coming. So I love that beer.
That's right. Yep.
So how long have you been brewing at Bell's?
So I've been at Bell's. This is my 7th year working at Bell's, and I've been brewing for about a little over 3 of those years. I actually started off in our old bottling line and then kind of worked my way up through the ranks and became an assistant brewer and then to a brewer. So it's a lot of on-the-job training on top of any kind of extracurricular knowledge I search out. So it's been a fun ride so far.
Very cool. But you were a home brewer before that, right? Okay.
Yep, that's right. There was a friend that I'd met in college, and we used to, I would say that I'd assistant brew. I would say brewing with him would be a very loose term. I would run and get the pizzas. I was the gopher guy, you know.
An important job.
Where you learn. That's right, dude. That's when you learn on somebody else's dime. That's the best way to do it, you know. Yeah. So we used to homebrew. I would kind of help him out, and then him specifically, he started growing out his own operation, and he ended up having, almost like a barrel system at his own house. And then he ended up opening up his own brewery, One Well. So if you're ever in Kalamazoo, stop over at One Well Brewing. Yeah, so he opened there. And then it was funny because like Bell's had like an open call, like anybody that wanted to come, they were going to expand their business. So I went and interviewed, and at the time I was doing pianos full time. So I felt pretty secure in my job, and so it's the only time I went into a job interview, and I wasn't nervous at all because I didn't really need the job. That's when you start answering questions probably inappropriately, but it worked, you know, because when they said, all right, Adam, so how much money would you like to make if we hired you? And I looked at him seriously and I said, all the money. And that's when they laughed at me. And I said, all right, guys, half the money. And they said, well, we'll talk to Larry about that, but we'll get back to you. So they called back and they hired me. So it's been a good relationship ever since.
Oh, that's awesome. I do think, that confidence. I know a lot of my actor friends say that too. Like as soon as they don't care if they get a role or not, then that audition goes so much better because they're like, well, whatever. If we do great, if not, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And I haven't cared since.
Exactly. Somebody, Lamstock had mentioned, he's like, you do look like a craft brewer. And I was like, yeah, you do. It's definitely, I'm going to adjust the camera. There we go. That's a little better. That way you're a little bit more centered. But I was like, I do think to be especially a craft brewer, a beard is required. You have to have a beard.
This isn't actually mine. I borrowed it from work. So until mine grows in, they have ones that they just place on you. It's like the Arrow of Light badge when you're going from Boy Scout or Cub Scout to Boy Scout. It's a whole ceremony. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
He's getting bearded. Did you hear it? He's getting bearded. That's awesome.
Bearded. Oh, my boy, he's growing up.
We all agree that the said a beard is the flavor saver for
it is the flavor
tasting.
saver.
How was that beard?
That's right. It gives you a second chance on the aroma. You know, you can do like a nice drive-by in the smell. You can taste it, but you just save it for later. It really helps it open up, you know.
That's awesome. So what's been some of your favorite beers that you've had a hand in at Bell's?
So it kind of sounds like the company answer, but honestly, my favorite beer that we make is Two Hearted. Just like the process that goes into it, it's pretty stunning to see all what we do to make it come to fruition. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say because we're coming out with so many new brews and so many new styles. We have like Flamingo Fruit Fight that's kind of hit the scene. If you have yet to try that, it's kind of like a fruity or tangier style of beer that we have. But yeah, it's kind of hard to choose from. But I would say Two Hearted would probably be my favorite go-to to make.
Well, I mean, it is number one, right? Like.
It is number one. It's kind of a big deal.
It's not like it's a wrong choice.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Lamb Sock says he's old school. I like a red ale. I like a good red.
I like a good red. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. My dad grew up what was the Irish Reds? Yeah, that was always around my house for sure. Irish Reds. So I definitely have a love for those.
Bob's asking if you were in a fraternity since you brewed in college.
I was not in a fraternity, and I would never be part of anything that would want to have me either. So, no, I wasn't in any kind of fraternity. This is all the brewing related stuff I did in college was all just like around friends and definitely very casual and stuff. So, well, I see. Do I have a clone fermenting now? I don't have any clones fermenting.
No, my dad does. My dad just brewed a Two-Hearted clone. Yeah, he just brewed Two-Hearted clone.
Oh, very nice. That's cool. Do you know if he grabbed one of the kits or did he?
No, he's all grain. All that stuff.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I know. Like at our general store, we sell kits. So if anybody's wants to homebrew but feels scared, there's so many good kits that we sell through our general store that will kind of hold your hand and walk you through the brewing process and just kind of get you doing it. That's half the battle, really.
Yeah, I'd be interested in that. I like that it's kind of spelled out. My apartment is obviously not the best, and I've got a good hookup with my dad to go help him out with brewing. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I think a kit would be especially if you're on your own too. Like you don't know anybody else that's brewing that you can kind of, like you said, kind of learn for free type thing. I think that's a great gateway, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, some people get a little sketched out of even wanting to try it because it is kind of a lot of money up front, depending on how you want to do it, but you don't have to go and buy the Tesla of brew equipment to get started. So if I could rain a little bit of knowledge from just what I've seen over the years, if you could put your money into anything, I would pay attention to buying stuff on the cold side. That way you could monitor your fermentation temps and take care of any sanitation issues, because the hot side is super forgivable. So if you're going to look into homebrewing and stuff, I would borrow equipment from friends, because you have tons of friends that are married and they don't brew anymore and they're looking to get rid of their stuff. So make friends with those people. But yeah, I would definitely suggest, somebody that has the stuff, see if you can borrow it and just use it and see if you like it before you go diving face first into buying equipment. But if you could, I would definitely spend more money than not on the cold side than hot side for sure.
Interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that or heard that. So that's interesting. That's good advice for people that want to start out.
Yeah, it's definitely easy to make good wort on an expensive system or a cheap system. But as soon as you start going into fermentation, that's when you start having the possibility to either make a good beer a great beer, or make a good beer really bad, a drain pour, if you will. Because that's where you could have potential too to get a lot more sanitation issues and fermentation issues where you get off flavors and stuff.
Yeah, I know people have had some accidental sours that way.
Yeah, there was a place on the outskirts of town that they were known for having the best sour IPA around, and they were not a sour brewery, so that's not good for them.
It's not good, though. Yeah. But speaking of that, have you ever tried something new, either at the brewery or homebrew, whatever instance, tried something new and it worked out really well, or there was a mistake that happened that actually turned out really well in your brewing process?
Yeah. So I started getting into making meads and doing stuff with honey and cane sugar, mostly because my family has a lot of allergies that run through it. So sometimes wheat, barley, any of those kind of adjuncts, they'd be allergic to. But I found like meads and things with sugar worked out great. So I said to myself, let's try and make a ginger beer. And I was going to try and make a big boy, which I probably shouldn't have done, but whatever. So I brewed a ginger beer using cane sugar, but it under attenuated, which means that it didn't ferment out all the sugar, which is great because it left it still a little sweet and it tasted just like a ginger beer. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this again. This was amazing. And here's where you separate the beginners from the not beginners, is being able to recreate what you did again. So I did it again using Lavlin 1118 champagne yeast, which will it will ferment cement. If you're looking to try and get all the sugar out of something, Lavlin 1118 champagne yeast will eat up everything. So I used that, and it ate up all the sugar. And so it just tasted like rocket fuel and ginger. So if you were to lick like a shot of vodka and a piece of ginger, that's what I got on the second round. So I learned stuff. That's cool. Don't do that again. So there's a lot of those things that happen.
Well, I think that's kind of the fun of it, right? Is
absolutely,
trying to experiment, doing new things and different things.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing with that. Going down the same road is like with meads. Is like if you've ever tried to brew those, it can get very expensive using fresh fruit or any kind of fruit. So that's kind of what I've been experimenting with the most, trying to make. I like my meads personally drier anyway. So experimenting with how little of fruit can I put in primary, because you're going to off-gas a lot of that flavor and still get the result that I want. And then taking any money that I would have put in that in fruit in primary and then putting all that fruit in secondary. So that way you get all the flavor of the fruit and it's not necessarily being converted into alcohol anymore and being off-gassed into CO2 out in the ether. So that's kind of what I've been playing with as of recent. So yeah, it's exciting times to be alive, really.
Thank God for beer. Speaking
of, that's what I'm saying.
Someone had asked if I'm getting ready to move. I'll be moving soon. Someone asked if this is my new place. I wish. Oh, this would be amazing.
That's right. And plus, whenever things get dirty, you just bust out a hose and spray it on the floor, right to the drain. I wish I had that in my house. It would be awesome.
That does remind me. I had a friend that would do parties in college, and they'd put down tarps all over the floor. So that way when the party was done, they just folded up the tarps and like took them out and hosed them down, as opposed to like having like the carpet get ruined or anything like that. I was like, that's actually a really good idea.
Were you roommates with Elon Musk? Is that who that was? Big brain time? What are we doing here?
No, it wasn't my room. It was just a friend from high school. But yeah, it was Jason. If any of you remember, he was a guest on here right before Christmas. But yeah,
Jason is.
Like, that's actually pretty smart because drunk people in general can drop things. Just saying.
Yes, they can.
All right, I've got one more question for you.
Sure.
So, say you're going to a brand new brewery that you've never been to, and you can only, for whatever reason, you can only try one beer. What are the top styles of each brewery that you would like? That's going to be like, okay, if I can only have one, I definitely want to see if they have this or this or this. Or I've got to try at least this one.
Well, that's not fair. I don't like this question.
You can narrow it down. You can pick a few, but what would be the ones down at the top of your list?
So obviously everybody has an IPA. So that's always a good go-to to try just to see what they have going on. But I always like to try out their lagers and their pilsners, kind of their lighter flavor beers, just to see just to see like if their processes are going well, like just by tasting the beer and seeing what the head retention's like. And there's a lot of context clues to know if their brew day went as expected or did not. So yeah, I think if anything, I would always go for the IPA. Plus, I think as being a neck beard adjacent, I would probably be frowned upon by all those beer nerds out there if you didn't. Yeah, so I'd probably go to the IPA and then maybe like a lager.
They'd take your beard back if you...
The ceremony would be negated.
We got to take it back, buddy. We got to take it back. Oh, that's awesome. Well, is there any other last-minute wisdom you would like to impart on our...
Not really. I guess the only thing that I would say... I know we kind of joked about it earlier. For all you brew anon conspiracy theorists out there, Oberon is the same every year, and it will always be. And that's all I have to say about that.
The fact that people could remember it from a year ago, I don't think I could. I mean, to me, I just know that I like it, and it, Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is like, when they say that, it's like, cool, what did you have for dinner last Wednesday? And describe that to me. And they'd be like, well, I don't know. Oh, but you remember a beer you had a year ago while you were getting drunk. Yeah, cool. Well done.
Oh, boy. So, yeah, Bob asked again. We answered, Mary, he was not in a frat, but he did say he would not be a member of any club that would have him. So
yes, that's right.
Yes. If anybody else has any questions, throw them in the chat. We're going to wind it down and let Adam be on the rest of his evening here in a bit. What's the last thing that you brewed at home that you enjoyed?
Oh, man. So I actually invested in buying brew systems. I invested in a Robobrews system, which is an electric all-in-one setup. So some people are kind of familiar with the beer in a bag setup, where you can kind of just use one vessel instead of having to have your own like mash tun and convert it into a lauter tun and all this other stuff. So I've been doing that. And the cool thing about using electric setup is that I can brew indoors. So it's 14 degrees outside, but I can still brew in my kitchen. Plus, have an electric setup is if I want to do kettle sours, I can just dial in the temperature, purge it with CO2, and just let it sit for a couple days while the souring process takes place. So I've been knocking out a lot of Berliner Weisses as kettle sours.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's been my jam lately, for sure.
My dad said, so the Robobrews.
Yeah, Robobrews, or I think Brewzilla is another one of their versions. And it's kind of like the half-price version of the Grainfather, which is the Grainfather is kind of like the Tesla of the electric brew systems, where pretty much you just, like a Keurig, you just kind of set it and forget it, which is pretty neat if you got the ball or money. But I like to drink too much, so I don't have that money.
That's fair. Yeah, that is one thing. Beer is a very expensive habit, that is for sure.
It is.
But it's fun. It's great. I get to nerd out about with other people, and you
meet a lot of people, and you can find all these flavors and combinations you never knew about.
My dad says, so not you, the robot. So the robot brews, not you.
Yeah, right.
Well, they're taking over. Might as well let them take over that.
Yeah, might as well. That's right. I welcome the robot overlords.
I mean, they might come up with some good stuff, you never know.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, their songwriting. Have you ever seen the songwriting from algorithms that's been put out?
No.
It's super weird. Give it a Google of the Christmas story. The Christmas song, there was a Christmas song that people did. I'll see if I can find it after and send it to you too.
Yeah.
But it's definitely, you're like, oh my God, the robots.
It's like something out of Schomburg's Nightmares, like some 12-tone row.
Yeah, it's very weird. Yes. Very creepy. Well, Adam, is there anything else that you'd like to do before we let you go off into the beer drinking sunset? Well,
I thought maybe I could try this pirate song that I happened across, and then maybe we can go about this will propel us into more drinking, good or bad.
Good plan.
Yeah. All right.
We're all at home,
Sweet. I love it. All right. Let's see if I can do this with just one eye. All right. There once was a ship that put to sea. The name of the ship was the Billy O.T. The winds blew hard and bow dipped down. Bogey Billy boys blow. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll break our leave and go. She had not been 2 weeks from shore when down on her right whale bore. The captain called all hands and swore to take that whale in tow. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Before the boat had hit the water, the whale's tail came up and caught. All hands to the side, harpooned and fought. She dived down below. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. The line was cut, the whale was freed. The captain's mind was not on greed, but he belonged to the Wellerman's creed. She took that ship in tow. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. For 40 days or even more, the line went slack and tight once more. Our boats were lost, there were only 4, and still that whale did go. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leaves and go. As far as I've heard, the fight's still on, the line's not cut, the whale's not gone. The Wellerman makes his regular call to encourage the captain, crew, and all. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leaves and go. Soon may the Wellerman come to bring us sugar and tea and rum. One day when the tonguing is done, we'll take our leave and go. Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
That's okay. Real quick, what was the background of that song? I didn't know this, and other people might not know it either.
Oh, okay. So this is a sea shanty. I guess it's like a song that you would have heard sailors singing out on the open seas. And I believe these kind of songs were kind of adopted in the Irish tradition, that you'd kind of hear people singing at bars. And so, yeah, this particular song's called The Wellerman. And I believe the group that you can find a good recording of is the Long Johns.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. Yep. So it's a great tune. They have a lot of other cool stuff. So
we have one last question that they wanted to ask. It says, how difficult is it for a brewer to get consistency and freshness when distribution is so wide?
Oh, man. It is hard. So we have it dialed in. We have a whole lab that is just dedicated to quality control. Every step of the process, we're taking samples, we're doing data collection, and we're watching any kind of trending going on. So it's amazing. I think even like when people go to the shelf and grab a beer that they don't like, you need to understand how amazing it is for that beer to have made it to the shelf in the quality that it is. So it's extremely difficult. And I'm sure you can imagine some people that have homebrewed that maybe have never kegged and just bottled beers. I'm sure you've experienced bottle bombs before, where it re-ferments or just any kind of stuff. So it's extremely difficult, and it's an amazing process to see that how many successful beers make it to the shelf.
It's true. Brewing is hard. It's a cool gig though. So I'm glad that you came on and we got to nerd out about beer a little bit and chat beer. So thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. And
absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Hopefully we can do it again. And hopefully I can come to Kalamazoo and hang out and have some beers with you.
We'll do it from the brewery when you come.
Ooh, I like that plan. That's a good idea. Like absolutely. Live on location. All right, I'll let you hang up the Skype. If you can't figure it out, I'll get it in a second. But thanks again so much. People wanted me to hit the applause button for you, so I'm clapping for you. And I will see you next time. Take care. Love you, buddy.
All right. Love you too. Bye.
Oops, I forgot to stop that. Yes, that was Adam. He's a delight. Thank you all for hanging out for that. Sorry, MD Muscat. I don't know how I should look into how the closed captioning works, so I know. So when people ask, because I don't know that. I know on like Zoom and stuff you can add it, but I will make a note to do that. But yeah, as many of you know, I'm a big craft beer nerd. I love craft beer, so I'm very happy to nerd out and have that. So.